Hey, what's up guys, how are you doing? It's another day and we're here with another video, guys. So for those of you who invest in stocks, does it sometimes feel like the stock market is rigged? Like when you look at the stock market and how things are happening and you think about the fact that we're basically buying parts of companies, and these companies have management, and these managements have information or are private to different information within the company, and these people have relationship with many other people, and then there are the powers that be, like the political powers. So sometimes when you think about the stock market, it is a huge gamble, right? Like whichever way you think about it, the stock market is a gamble. And I know so many people who don't even invest in the stock market. Personally, I invest in the stock market and the stock market has done me really well. But that doesn't take away from the facts. The fact is sometimes the stock market will feel like it's a gamble. Why do I say that? Because at the end of the day, you are buying part of a company. However much you might believe that you understand a particular company, you understand the fundamentals, you understand every single thing about the company, there is always something that you're missing about a company. Like if I want to keep some information from the public or from you, I can do it. Okay, so to some extent, you always feel like the stock market is like a huge gamble. I know Grant Cardone, for instance, calls it the huge casino, right? The massive casino whereby the house always wins, and you always in there trying to gamble your way out, and he always believes in real estate. Of course, that's his opinion, and people have their opinions about the stock market. But going by some of these things that happen, for instance, the NCBA rally that I'm going to talk about in this video, sometimes it feels that way, right? How is it possible that someone makes over 5 billion, actually 12 billion in just 5 days? And obviously, them making that money has been driven by certain things in the market. And these things in the market have been inspired or instigated by people. So for instance, NCBA Bank in Kenya had a really good rally, okay? And just as context, I always say here on this video that I don't invest much in stock market in Kenya because I just don't see the need for it. But to be honest, sometimes I feel like I'm missing out with the stock market in Kenya. So right now I'm trying to put my feet in. Just a bit of like a risky portfolio. I'm one person who has always said that one of the best stocks if you're investing in the stock market in Kenya are the bank stocks. They have a clear growth potential in the country. Our economy is still a middle income economy. It's developing rapidly. There's loads of movements of money within the system. That means the country has a lot of potential when it comes to banks. So these banks have been expanding rapidly. They expand into East Africa, and you've just seen how, let's say, NCBA has expanded, Equity has expanded, KCB has done really well as well. Just look at different banks in Kenya and how they've expanded, even across the region, not just within the country, but across the region as well, and see their potential for growth. Look at their books, their financials. The banks have a good potential. For those who invest in stocks, I've always said, and I always give very clear instruction of like which banks I think are going to do really well in the next few years. Okay, so we know those fundamentals. We know we can do the fundamentals. We can also do the technical analysis and see where things are going to be. But there are things we just can't foretell. There are things we just not privy to. Okay, so one of them is the rally that happened with NCBA. That is something you just cannot have that information beforehand. By the time this news hits the market, a retail trader or just even other normal traders who do not have that kind of information will be jumping on the news and rallying the stocks up. Now remember, sometimes this news is deliberately put out there with the goals in mind. This has happened in the US. We saw recently when Trump made some statements about certain stocks and certain sectors, and then he even told his friends to buy certain stocks, and then when the tariff wars were going on, he changes his position, changes his views about the tariffs, and then the stocks move up and down. And we did see how much billionaires made money in that sense. So I'm not saying that Kenyan stock market is just rigged on its own, but I think generally speaking, the stock market usually feels like it's rigged. Okay, and therefore you have to have a very clear approach to investing in stock market, knowing very well that there's someone who has more information than you do. Now the only issue is that in developing countries or developing economies, it can appear more rigged than in other systems. The structures and systems protect people and I would say traders and investors more in a Western world than it does in Africa. And we can see an example of this NCBA rally. So rumors hit the market that there's likelihood that NCBA is going to merge with Stanbic Bank, which is a subsidiary or a part of the Standard Group. Okay, and then when this news hit from Bloomberg News, then everyone goes crazy and the stock goes wild. People make money. If you are invested already, you make money. okay? But if you are not invested already, you might be catching a falling knife. Why? Because these rumors are not confirmed yet. And even if they were confirmed, by the time the price has rallied that much, it means it has taken in the news, right? The price has reflected this particular news already. Obviously, there still might be a big run, right? But it has taken the news. Just to step back a bit, okay, on this particular issue. So NCBA rallied from 69.5 to 96.25, right? That's a great rally. That's like a huge price change. So if you look at the trajectory of NCBA of how it has moved, it's been a stock that's rallies around 40, 50, 60, right? That's like the highest it's always touched. Now it went all the way from 69 to 96 in just 5 days. Now, if you look at that specific rally in that sense, obviously it's driven by something. Reason being, there was that news that I just spoke about of merger between Stanbic and NCBA. Basically, Stanbic buying out NCBA, and that there were talks already to buy NCBA out. Now, NCBA is controlled mainly by two families, which is the Kenyatta's family and the Philip Ndegwa's family. So Philip Ndegwa's family control 14.94%, basically 15% stake of NCBA through First Chartered Securities, and then the Kenyatta's family control it through Limited IC or ENKE. Limited INKE at 13.2%. Then there are other companies, D&M Management, we have Brookshire, we have West Point, Yana Investment, Rival Kenya, Kahuho, and many other investments or companies, many other companies that control major stakes. But the major controllers are the First Chartered Securities, that is the Philip Ndegwa's family, and the Limited Inc. Company, which is the Kenyatta's family. Now, these are the biggest shareholders. Now, these people obviously gained a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, I mean a lot of money. We're talking about over 12 billion in just 5 days. Now, if you think about that kind of money, it's obviously in paper wealth, because unless you sell your stake and make money from it, that cash is not real cash, right? It's paper wealth. But still, if we're looking at your net worth, we're looking at the money you made from a stock, then you made crazy money. And if your people, your traders decide to close some positions on that particular stock, that's really good money. Whichever way you look at it, it's good money. They have invested heavily in these particular banks, and they make money. Now, obviously, there are many retail traders who also made money in this rally. And if you strategically entered the market, let's say maybe you had some information as well, or you got the information early and you entered the market, then obviously you made some money. So the valuation of the bank has basically increased by 44 billion to 158 billion in just 5 days. Again, that just shows you how much the rally was. We're talking about 44 billion increase in the value of that particular, in the market value of that particular company. And if you look at the list of people on these companies, we're talking about the Kenyatta's families, we're talking about the Philip Ndegwa's families, we're talking about the former president Daniel Arap Moi's family, we're talking about Merali's family. Basically, we look at Simeon Nyachai, for instance. We're looking at some of the powers that be in the country. Obviously, these people invested heavily in these countries. But now the question I would ask is, do they have an upper hand when it comes to investing in stocks in the country? Obviously they do, and that's the truth. Like, that's why I always say that however much you do your analysis on the stock market in the country, just know that manipulation is always going to happen to some extent. You might not know to what extent, you might not know how, but manipulation of the stock market will always happen. So when you are investing, strategically invest knowing that this will always happen. So you looked at some of the top holders in that company. The main reason why even other people would be rushing into the market to buy the stock is because we are now betting, or investors are betting on the fact that there could be a premium offer once NCBA is acquired. So people could be given really good offers in terms of the value of their shares in the new setup, right, in the new merger. The Standard Group, which is the major buyer in this case, has dispelled these rumors and said, no, those are just market rumors. Now, you're saying these are market rumors while the price has moved from 69 to 96. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But again, these are things that people can actually intentionally do, right? Someone can intentionally leak information. Someone can intentionally, make the markets move this way for very specific gains. There are people who could have entered in this position when the market was at like 69, knowing very well that within 5 or 6 days, they're going to make crazy money. So if they put millions or billions of money in there, they still made some crazy money. Now, imagine if someone had that information prior, which obviously someone had that information, whether you want to think about it that way or not, someone had the information. So what do you think about stock investment? What are the risks you think you should always think about? Or you think, am I being too cautious in terms of stock investment in Kenya, in developing countries, and just generally stock investments. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comment section. Now, obviously, my advice from a financial perspective is simple. When you go into this investment, go as an investor. Either you're a day trader, active trader, or you're an investor. Investor means when you get in there, you're looking at the long term. So meaning if you are buying NCBA, like I think I have like 3 videos recommending NCBA Bank because it's really a good bank in terms of their fundamentals. I did recommend it many times. And if you bought it and let's say you are dollar cost averaging into NCBA, you don't have to panic about these things. Your work is to just put in the money and follow the fundamentals because you cannot control these bits. But again, if you're a day trader, then you can take advantage of these movements. Obviously, you have to understand technical analysis. You have to also understand, but this is some of those news that you can't even understand so well because then it just hits the market and then the price rally. But if you're a quick day trader or let's say a scalper, then you're able to actually get good money. The other thing is, if you made some money from such a rally, then it's good to take some profits off the table. It's always important that you realize that, okay, this is a one-time news. We're not sure how this is going to go, especially after this has been, quietened a bit again. Then you want to get off some profits. If you made good money, it's also some time to realize that don't be too greedy. Don't get too much into it and think that now it's going to rally from 96 to, let's say, 100 and something. It might, but it might not, right? So if you made some money, know exactly when to get out, especially if you're trading. Even if you're investing and you feel like there has been a really good rally and you're lucky, you can diversify your investment now, take that money off, part of the profits, put in something else that's a bit more stable, and as you monitor the market and see what happens. And finally, stock market is about risk. Know how much risk you're taking, know how much risk you're willing to deal with, and know that, anything can always happen with the stocks. The same way this stock has rallied is the same way a stock can go down because of news. And we've seen cases whereby stocks have gone down and they have left investors with a huge dent for many years without coming back up. These things happen. So just make sure that you are cushioned enough, financially speaking, to take that shock when it comes. But also when the upward comes, like this particular one comes in, make sure you are also prepared that you can take off some profits or be prepared to lose some money if this kind of noise is just market noise, right? So be strategic in your investment with the stock market. And of course, you don't want to go all in just a single stock, because such a thing happens and then let's say this doesn't happen, then the stock tanks again, then it affects you financially speaking. So try and diversify a bit, not too much. I tell people don't over diversify, right? But find some strong companies that you believe in the fundamentals, invest consistently, stay in the market. Unless there's a really good reason to take off some profits or get off the position completely, then stay invested, stay consistent, and stay disciplined. That's the way to win with the stock market, despite the other issues and the manipulation that might happen and the things we can't control that might happen in the stock market. So just make sure that as you invest in the stock market, you're strategic enough and ensuring that you always have your back covered. Let me know if you made some money in NCBA. Let me know if you invested in any of the bank stocks in Kenya. I hope this has been helpful. Until next time, I'm out.